Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Gavinsky's Tutorials. Today I'm going to look at a simple tool you can use, well a couple of tools that you can use to make MIDI sequencer outputs more interesting. So those are a tool for Drambo that we'll talk about in a second, and the other one is this app MIDI Gates by Art Kerns. The problem with MIDI Gates is a beautiful app, I absolutely love it. The problem with MIDI Gates is it's not available on EU app stores. So I was asking on the Loopy Pro forum a few days ago, does anybody know if there are any apps that have that functionality that are available on EU app stores? Because a lot of people who watch this channel are in the EU. And so a guy over there called tyslothrop1, I hope that's the right pronunciation, made this great MIDI FX rack for Drambo, right? So I'll put a link to this in the pinned comment of this video, right? And so we're looking at that module here. Now at the moment, it's not actually doing anything because I've got these sliders all the way up. So in this video, I'll look at this. It has 4 different modes, and we'll talk about those, and some of those are going silent at the moment because I haven't set them up yet. As it's a Drambo rack, you can go in and you can look at all the stuff behind the scenes as well and tweak it to customize it more, but that's really not needed. You can just keep it closed and look at the more simple UI here if you're not expert level. So let's bring this in. Later in the video, I'll talk about how to actually load the patch and stuff in Drambo. Some people will not be familiar with that, but I'll leave that until later in the video. So we'll look here, burst chance and burst length. Let me bring these down. So do you see now we're starting to get little silences. If we look at Fugue Machine Rubato, remember that there are notes going on all the time there, right? But we're not actually hearing notes all the time. So that's being controlled by these 2 sliders here. So here we're setting the chance that there will be a burst of notes. And here we set how long that burst of notes will be. Now actually, MIDI Gates has 2 options. One is how long a rest will be when notes stop, and one is how long notes will play for if a note is triggered. This seems to only have one control. So if I put a value like this, let's say, and let's say I put a very short value here, we're going to get notes being triggered regularly, but each time it'll only be a few notes. Now, you can go in here and play around with the shaper and stuff to change the curve and things there if you want. If I put this up with a high burst length, let's say, and a low burst chance, we may have long silences because there's a small chance of a burst, but when we do get a burst, it'll be long. Put the value up a little bit. So you see we got a burst there and it was pretty long, right? So that's burst chance and burst length. Next one is by position. Here we have 2 options. One is just a gate mode. So here the sequencer will move forward a step every time it receives an incoming note. So remember here, there are notes going out. It's like every 16th note or something. You see here, I'm sending the keyboard into Drambo. And if I now start entering notes, I'm moving the sequence forward faster, right? So this is not a fixed rate, right? Now, by the way, setting trig here will set this back to the first step. Okay, now if we go to the rate one here, if I put it to 1, this is advancing every 16th note. I put it here. Now it's half as slow, so it's every 8th note, and so on, right? So we have different values here, so we can put this faster. And here I can drag to adjust the probability for a step. And here I can change how many steps there are. Okay, so that's this by position mode. Now next one, by note. So here, if I have all the sliders down, so here you see we have all the notes, right, from C to B. So if I have this all the way up, all the C notes will get through. Now all C's and C sharps will get through. Now all C, C sharps and D's will get through, and so on. So here we've put those at 100% probability. And so now I can, put some at lower probabilities. So this mode gives you a lot of control, right? That is super cool. And then the next one. Next mode is something very interesting that the original app, MIDI Gates, doesn't have. So here it's using velocity. So what's cool here is that tyslothrop, is it? Tyslothrop put in a humanize knob here. That's really nice because like this patch, for example, I think everything's actually at the same velocity. But here, this knob is changing up the velocity a little bit. So we're getting variation in velocity. Then here, we're setting a value. Anything, like let's say this is in the middle, it's going to be a value of around 64 or something in MIDI CC value. So then here we set the chance of whether a note that's lower than this value will play. So let's say I set this here. Now we've got a low chance of velocities about half or below actually coming through, right? If I put this knob here up, there's a much higher chance now of high velocity notes coming through. If I put this all the way up, all the notes higher than this value will come through. This is really interesting mode, actually. So, play around with the values here until you get something you like. So, for anybody who doesn't have Drambo or just prefers the UI, let's just change the I'll change the input here. I'll use a different Fugue Machine patch. And let's put this in here. So let me put this in from this MIDI Gates here. So if I go to MIDI Gates, now we've got through mode on. So all of these notes are being passed through. If I go to sequencer mode here, this again, like we just saw in Drambo there, every time a note is received, the sequence will advance. So I could set, for example, a sequence like this, where every 8 notes we're definitely going to get a note being triggered, and then the next 7 notes there's going to be a low likelihood that it'll be triggered. Here we can adjust the number of steps. That only goes up to 8. I'll put it back to 8. Here, now we've changed it to the sequenced mode. These steps, this moving forward, advancing faster than previously. This one is much faster. This is the slowest option you have here. Here we have the note mode, right? So at the moment, there's a 50% chance of any note coming through. Now I've changed it so these notes will not come through. These notes will all have a 50% chance of coming through. So this is super fun, you can really tweak this during a live performance. Then here we've got the gating mode. Here, just a 10% chance of notes getting through. If I press this and put a value of 1 here, now every time one note gets through, the next note will also be allowed through. If I change this to 2, every time a note is allowed through, the next 2 notes will get through. If I change this, we're adding rests. Every time a note is blocked, the next 2 notes will also be blocked, right? Like that. So let's look at, for anybody who doesn't know, how to get this all going in Drambo. So first, you go to patch storage, download this patch, donate optionally to the guy who made the patch. It's great. Give it a like and so on. And so once you download that, right, you'll get an option to open it. Open it with Drambo, right? And then it'll ask you to save it, I think. Or maybe it'll just be put in there, I can't remember, but save it anyway, and it'll be saved as a MIDI rack, right? Now, we don't need this MIDI to CV thing here in this particular one. I'm just going to get rid of it. And here I'm going to, I press on this little thing here and go to MIDI and go to MIDI rack, right? And then I'm going to just drag this output over, okay, just by grabbing it and moving it, right? Drag this over here. Now I go here and choose this hole puncher preset, right, that guy made. So I've put that in there now. And then here, I can change this if I want. I'm going to just change it to MIDI out, okay? Now, next thing, I need to route some MIDI into this. So let me route MIDI from this first instance of Fugue Machine Rubato over here. Okay, now you can see here, now this instance is sending out MIDI. So now let me send that MIDI in somewhere. So I'll tap here. I want to send it into this harp. And then you can see here, I've got those Drambo FX set up already to go into this, but not this one. So now let me press here. And now this is sending its MIDI in there. And we can go in and, change our modes and so on. All right. So thanks again to tyslothrop. Yeah, tyslothrop1 for making that great. And hope this was useful for you. And I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care.